What about my love? Wasn't it enough? Just let me know.
All throughout the media, you know, on One Take, all that stuff. Nick, whatever his name is, like Nick Gates or whatever, you know, Emmanuel Acho, all these guys like to say that Jalen Hurts is a system quarterback. It is because it is A.J. Brown. It is because he has Saquon Barkley and Devontae Smith. They don't fail to mention, though, however, when other teams miss their star wide receivers, like in week 4 when the Eagles got blown out by Tampa, that was all Jalen Hurts' fault. But when it's another team, like the Bengals or whatever, then it's because so-and-so were missing. But that is besides the point. My question for you, Dante, and for the rest of the chat is, after last week's loss against the Commanders, a division rival, granted, they're still the number 1 seed in the NFC East. They're still the number 2 in the entirety of the NFC. But we had this conversation before, or this narrative was around when Gardner Minshew was the backup years ago, lost against the Saints. Kenny Pickett comes in when Jalen Hurts gets injured, loses against the Commanders. Is the system quarterback narrative for Jalen Hurts overblown and does it need to be dropped by the media?
Yeah.
Yes, they did make these accusations last year.
Yeah, I mean, at some point in time, you just got to wake up and smell the roses, man, around Jalen Hurts. Let me just read off a couple. Here's my argument that'll trump everybody else's. If somebody's assistant quarterback, are they breaking records? Let me ask the congregation. Y'all think so?
Let me add on to that as well, because even the announcers who were off that game, but even the announcers, when we're on our own 30 and it's just 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, you go, this is a clear tush push with Jalen Hurts, but you can't do that with Kenny Pickett, so you got to punt. It's like having a secret down just because of how strong and how well that Jalen Hurts has perfected the tush push. Everybody seems to hate it and claims that that's where he gets all his rushing touchdowns, which is false, but that is besides the point.
Yeah. Let me read off some of his records. 4 consecutive seasons with 10+ rushing touchdowns. 4 consecutive seasons with a pass touchdown, rush touchdown, and 100+ passer rating. Single season rushing touchdowns. Hurts tied Cam Newton's 2011 record of 14 touchdowns in a season. Hurts went on to score his 15th rushing touchdown, breaking Newton's record. Franchise rushing record. Hurts set the Eagles franchise record for rushing touchdowns with his 33rd. Think about all the running backs. Think about Michael Vick, Donovan McNabb. Consecutive wins against winning teams. Hurts tied Peyton Manning and Vinny Testaverde's record for the most consecutive wins against winning teams in NFL history with 13. Win percentage when trailing by 10+ points. Hurts has a .389 win percentage when trailing by 10+ points. Does that scream? I mean, outside of that last one, I mean, that's a team stat. It's a team game.
I was about to say, once again, this was tied for 10-game winning streak, tied for the longest in franchise. Again, team stat, but that snapped when Jalen Hurts didn't play. And the way that it was going when Jalen Hurts was in the game, the Commanders were about to get blown out, just straight up.
And let me just tell you,
we were already in the red zone when Kenny Pickett came in, so of course he got that easy touchdown, then couldn't drive down the field worth of shit for the rest of the game.
Jalen Hurts went 158 passes without an interception, breaking the previous record of 157 set by the Eagles.
Correct. Ever since the bye week, he has thrown 1 interception, and that was just a good breaking play by Trevon Diggs in that first Dallas Cowboys game.
Yeah. So keep telling me that this dude Jalen Hurts is a system quarterback, and it's even more overshadowed by this. And I'm gonna let you spit. It's even more overshadowed by this, right? Because Saquon Barkley's there and having such a great season, and now he's smiling when he scores.
I think he just needs like 260 something to break Eric Dickerson's rushing record of 2,200.
Yeah. Let me see. I'll look that up, but
thought he needed like 220 something in between like both games.
So is he a system quarterback, Sora?
No, I again, you look at it you had the same excuse with Gardner Minshew. He lost against the Saints. He lost against the Cowboys. Then you bring in Kenny Pickett, a former first rounder. Granted, his time didn't play out well in Pittsburgh, but it's still the system quarterback, and it's still because of Barkley. And you look at the Panthers game where everybody's like, oh, Barkley, Jalen Hurts is system quarterback. You look at the pass game was awful. The defense helped win that. Saquon Barkley with this. Then you look at the Steelers game where both starting wide receivers had 100+ yards and a touchdown. Jalen Hurts had 300+ yards, 3 total touchdowns. Just as a statement. And again, you look at how the team was performing. Before Jalen Hurts got hurt against Washington. It was quickly 14-0. And the only reason why Kenny Pickett got that I shouldn't say the only reason, but the main reason was we were already in the red zone by the time that Kenny Pickett came in when Jalen Hurts got injured.
Yep.
It's crazy that you've got one of, if not the best O-lines in football, the number one running back right now in the NFL in Saquon Barkley, who is about to break a NFL rushing record held by Eric Dickerson. AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts' best friend. So they've built exactly what Jay has said. How dare Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie, start building from the trenches, which is what wins you football games, both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. Get 2 top weapons in the receiver room. Get a top running back whose contract doesn't really start off until like later in the contract thing. And that's even what Howie Roseman did with all of the offensive linemen and weapons.
Yep.
We will split it up in between years. The major hit of it is going to be this year. Jeffrey Lurie will pay bonus money out of his own pocket to guarantee these deals. Ever since the bye week, man, Jalen Hurts has been one of ones.
I honestly can't argue with that at all, man. And let's remember the fact, okay? And I'm gonna ask you a follow-up question to this. Let's think back to 2022 when you guys were in the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. Lost that game 38-35. Jalen Hurts, let me just remind people. Jalen Hurts was 27 for 38, 304 passing yards, 71.1 completion percentage, which the league average for quarterbacks is around 66, just to let you guys know. 1 touchdown in the air, 0 turnovers. He took 2 sacks. He rushed for 15 times for 70 yards and 3 touchdowns.
The only bad thing that Jalen Hurts did was, and he slipped during this on the field, was he was trying to switch his hands to stiff arm Nick Bolton, and that's when the ball fumbled.
Right.
And they returned that for a touchdown. But then the very next play, Jalen Hurts went down, got another touchdown. But that touchdown, granted, defense couldn't stop shit, but that touchdown was the worst thing that the offense had done.
Right. And I'm looking something up right now. Let's see. So let's see. 1, 2. Can't count that season. Let's go to this year. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3.
Also,
4,
yes,
5,
Don, you
6.
are correct. It is 268 yards.
So he's on an 11-game streak. Well, it's broken this week. An 11-game streak with him at least putting up a touchdown and the arrow on the ground.
Yeah.
My question is, what does Jalen Hurts have to do for people not to assume that he's a system quarterback? Now, granted, he is a handicapped by a ton of weapons, and we talked about this a little bit. When AJ Brown got to his little tiff, didn't I say that this shit was going to happen? And people want to act like they're all going to get the ball evenly. There's too many goddamn mouths to feed on this team.
Yeah, and nobody there. You're not going to be 50-50 between passing and rushing, especially when you've got multiple receivers and like one running back on the field, potentially two at the same time. But
Yeah.
it was a great Super Bowl until the end, L11, till the end. But you've got, again, as we've talked about, Saquon Barkley, who's about to get potentially 2,000 rushing yards. Obviously, that's going to be your main focal point. And we know how Kellen Moore works. This was the same thing that he did with the Chargers. Honestly, and the joking answer is Jalen Hurts would have to be white, because white quarterbacks don't get the system QB label. That's the joking answer. The legit answer would have to be like, he would just have to be a gunslinger. Like, just straight up. He would just have to have like 250 to 300 passing yards a game.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of trying to stick to the traditional, just trying to stick to the traditional pocket passer, trying to fit the quote unquote Mahomes of, magician, only scrambles when he needs to, even though Mahomes gets a bunch of QB draws as well and just runs out of the pocket when pressured. Other than that, there's really no good answer of how Jalen Hurts can escape the system quarterback.
Well, let me ask you.
Other than he goes to a different team and does the same thing, which I doubt will happen.
I think people are very unfair when it comes to this, and
correct.
And let me tell you this, and I know you understand this, but just to put it out in the universe, are the Eagles, if you were to replace Jalen Hurts and Kenny Pickett and their respective teams that they were on before Kenny Pickett got there, are the Eagles a better or worse team?
Oh, they're worse. Because again,
are the Steelers a better or worse team with Jalen Hurts?
I would say that they are better.
Okay, I agree with you. Do you agree that the Eagles would have had as much success? Well, no, you answered the question. So Kenny Pickett wouldn't have got you to a Super Bowl.
No, Kenny Pickett would not have gotten us to a Super Bowl. And also, just again, like we mentioned, there were many of times where we're 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, when Kenny Pickett was in the game and Gardner Minshew was in the game, and we couldn't do the tush push because they can't run it successfully like Jalen Hurts does.
Right. So I don't understand where this system quarterback thing came from. And a lot of people are like, well, if you take Saquon away, they wouldn't have as much success as they have had. Well, that's only this year. They've went to a Super Bowl already. They've been a perennial team that you have to go in.
We had it with Miles Sanders.
That's what I'm saying. Who was your best running back last year?
Our best was DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift was our running back last year.
And he almost did the same exact thing that Miles Sanders did the previous.
Both of those guys didn't have 1,000 yards till they were on the Eagles. And now it just happens to be that we got an elite running back, and Saquon Barkley is almost about to get 2,000 yards, maybe even break the NFL record.
My thing is Jalen Hurts did it without Saquon being there, so we got to take that argument out the window.
He did it without Saquon, and he did it without DeAndre Swift, who I would argue is better than Miles Sanders. Where's Miles Sanders at right now on the Panthers depth chart?
Man. I think the argument here is that he's not a system quarterback. Let's get to these comments, man. 20 gifted ECG memberships coming from my man Too Evil with the Shuriken.
Let me see if I can find some ops in here. Hold up.
Bro, you are too generous, man. Hope you guys have a Merry Christmas. Too Evil, you're the man. Thank you for supporting us for as long as you have, man, through everything that we've been through at this point in time. I hope you guys really get a chance to, be with your families this holiday season. And, we appreciate your generosity as always. And we'll always say, that when we say this, we mean this from the bottom of our hearts, man. You didn't have to do that. You did, and we appreciate it. So VL Forever, $20 haymaker, man.
And honestly, and Anthony, I was just about to mention this. This is the updated answer that I will give for to beat the system quarterback allegations. Again, pure pocket passer at a minimum 300, and just get rid of the tush push. That's because I guess that's the system of the tush push. Despite the fact that both times Gardner Minshew and Kenny Pickett, that wasn't a valuable option. That's an extra weapon that only Jalen Hurts can do. It's an extra down. It helps the Eagles. It would probably help whatever team he's on.
Right.
But get rid of it. That's the better way to beat the allegations. Is just 300 passing yards at a minimum and get rid of the tush push.
Yeah, man. Shout out to VL forever, man.
Taking away a top weapon for the entire Eagles team in general, because that just resets the chains.
If y'all don't know about VL, man, he's the general manager of this whole operation.
Yeah, that's true. We don't.
We appreciate you, man. $20, you're way too generous, man. We appreciate you so much for that. And again, man, we can't thank you enough for supporting us. I can't wait for you guys to see what we're about to do during the Senior Bowl. I'm telling you, it's gonna be a movie for real. We're gonna dedicate a lot of time to making sure everything that we're doing is at the highest quality, man. And your money that you gifted to us gets put right back into the channel for sure. So Anthony says, score without the tush push. Too Evil, thanks for the gifted membership. Yes, sir. Everybody that got a gifted membership, y'all make sure y'all tell Too Evil thank you. T-Bass set it up for years. Quarterback success depends on a lot of the situation these guys are put in. Philly is perfect for him. You can go back to the video when we were the Go for Two podcast before even Sora was here. When Jalen,
it was just Dante
me and Don.
I mean, was Nelson on it?
Yeah, it was me and Nelson doing the draft.
Yeah, it was Dante, Don, and Nelson.
I said during that stream that Jalen Hurts is going to take Carson Wentz's job.
He did. The video is still up. I wasn't even a part of this yet.
It's nasty work,
I didn't even
bro.
know Dante yet.
Nasty work, bro. What up, everyone? NFC East is always all the drama. Yeah, I love it. This is the first time I ever heard anyone call Jalen Hurts a system quarterback. Bro, just go to Twitter.
Where have you been for the past 3 years?
Just go to Twitter.
Where have you been for the past 3? I would love to live in this world.
Are all the people that didn't want Jalen Hurts to be their quarterback on the Eagles, and I told them, like, y'all are dumb. I
would love to be in that world, L11. That's where can I go to avoid this?
What's even more funny about Jalen Hurts is I told everybody that he's going to be a better quarterback than Tua. Who are you taking right now, Jalen Hurts or Tua?
Jalen, without a doubt.
Comment section, please tell me. I would love to know.
Tua. And what's funny too is the last 4 matchups against the quote unquote like top 4 quarterbacks of Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar, and Joe Burrow, he beat all of them and outdueled all of them in the games that they played, in their last games that they played.
If you say Tua, I need to know why.
You might share his concussion, then. I don't know.
I've been on the Tua train, though. I'm not even gonna lie. I knew Tua was gonna be better than what people thought, and he has been. But that dude needs to retire, bro.
Dude needs to
incredibly
be
nasty work. I'd say a good quarterback without AJ Brown, maybe. See, the whole AJ Brown thing is a very interesting conversation because AJ Brown was even good at Tennessee. So
he was still a top receiver at Tennessee. It just
that's like me being a content creator, right? And saying, I'm gonna just go pick up Joe Schmo off the street and see if we have a good podcast versus me picking up the phone and calling ESPN and said, I need Sora to be on this because we got chemistry. Of course, I'm going to do one of my best friends than the other thing. You know what I'm saying?
I was going to say, my bad, get traded to another pod. What's happening here?
Yeah. My man VL Forever says, I love the content, man. We love y'all, man. Y'all keep this show rolling.
I didn't have cable and a Twitter account. You know what? That's fair.
I'd never take Tua turn the ball over. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, that's a classic nickname.
T-Bass says I'm a Vikings fan and I would consider JJ McCarthy a system quarterback. That is a very good example of what a system quarterback is. Hey, Sora, go line up behind me. I'll hand the ball off to you. All right, ready? We're Blake Corum, man. Hawk Tua, that is disgusting, sir.
No. He would have to go to like the Seahawks to be that.
That's nasty work.
Nasty work. She going to jail now.
Hurts is playing like Hurts. This is what he did at Bama, and no. I would beg to differ. I love this tape from Oklahoma. That Jalen Hurts was different. Him and CeeDee Lamb together was.
Him and CeeDee. Oh my God.
That was beautiful.
It broke my heart seeing CeeDee Lamb go to Dallas.
I ain't talking about it.
And that was before we even drafted Jalen Hurts. That's who I wanted in the first round.
Yep. Dolphins need to convince him to retire and go after Sam Darnold. I mean, Tua's playing good though. I just think if something happens to that dude, the NFL is shutting down for, like, let's just say it happens on week 8 and something, he gets another concussion in his bed, they're ending the season. QB labels are misleading, in my opinion. True. I take Hurts over Tua, even if Tua didn't have a history of concussions. That's what I'm saying. I don't think anybody is denying that at this point. So